Yeah, recently, lately I've been bringing friends up there, and it seems that every time I bring someone new up there, some kind of weird event happens. So, about in January, about this time, which is the 14th of 2014, I brought friends up there, which are very skeptical people. My friend Jason and my girlfriend, they're pretty used to me already, so they're used to this kind of environment and strange things happening, I guess. Friend John is too. He's pretty skeptical, but he's seen a lot of things up there with me. He's been every single time so far. Recently we went up there in January, the second week of January. We went up there just for hunting, and my friend Jason and my girlfriend don't hunt, so they came up there to come camping with us. And first night, pretty usual. It was a cold night. Not really much happens on the first night. But as the weekend progressed, as the second day rolled around, Saturday night, we decided to do a night hunt. So on the other side of our private property, we have a tree stand that we can hunt from. So Corey and John left. I took them to the other side of the property, and they stayed there, while Jason and my girlfriend and myself stayed at the cabin. It's kind of like a kid's tree house that we built out there, and it's all screened in so you can hunt from it. And I've had experiences happen on that side of the property. Pretty much every square inch of that place, something weird happened. But that specific weekend after they left, we came back, and of course Jason and my girlfriend don't hunt, so they're just doing something on the cabin porch. And I was on the right side of the cabin that overlooks a trail that you can just see a long distance down this trail into this big open wooded field where there's not much brush. So night rolls around, and I just got a poach. I'm sitting there in the chair with my 270 rifle. It's got a high-powered scope on it, and I got it benched on a railing looking straight down this trail into the wooded area, because I've seen things out there before. While they're on the other side of the cabin just talking, and night rolls around, when it's night out there, it gets pitch black. You can't see anything. You gotta have a headlight on you at all times. So it gets around 10 or 11 at nighttime, and I'm just looking through my rifle scope down this wooded trail. Can't see anything, but I got a green laser designator that I can immediately flip on that syncs up with my scope, so it illuminates everything down there. So it's kind of like I have night vision on the scope. And I was flicking it on inadvertently, looking down the trail, seeing if anything is down there. And after 10 or 11 rolls around, this light appears down there, about 150 yards out. This light, yellow in color, it was kind of like an orb, but more oblongish. But it probably could have been the size of like a lantern, a small lantern, but bright yellow, like a mild yellow in color. And I'm staring at this thing. I'm looking at it through my rifle scope for 10 minutes. And it's powerful. I can zoom in all the way in, and I could fill up the entire rectangle with this thing, trying to figure out what it is. It wasn't illuminating anything. There wasn't anything carrying it. It didn't look like, so it couldn't have been like a lantern or anything like that. But it did have almost like a shaded grid light pattern on it. After staring at this thing for a long time, 10 minutes or so, I called Jason and my girlfriend over to come take a look at this thing. We're taking turns looking through the rifle scope. None of us can figure out what it is. Jason, he's 45, so he's been around the block. He can't figure out what it is. So, after time rolls by, 15 minutes, this thing being on, it just flicks off, gone. Back to being pitch black out there. And we're kerflunked. We can't figure out what the heck this thing was. So I'm still looking down there. Maybe a few minutes later, there's a white light turns on about another 50 yards back. And there's a road back there that it's private, and no one ever goes down, ever. It's dirt, so you'd be able to tell, because there'd be tire tracks in that road if anybody's down there. And we checked when we got there, nothing. So this white light turns on, and our immediate, we thought it was a vehicle out there because it's a road. So we're like, oh, some car must have went by. Even the white light could have been some guy out there, but wait another few minutes, then another light turned on. It was red this time. So there's a white and a red light right next to each other. So added more evidence that it could have been a vehicle at first. And same amount of time, a red light turns on next to it to the right, and then another white light turns on. So it kind of simulates like the back of a vehicle. It was like a white, red, red, white. So of course you're gonna think back of a car with reverse lights or something like that on, but they're completely flat, like a cigar shape. So after a while, we're still looking at this thing. It's still just sitting there, 200 yards out, through this rifle scope. We're flicking the laser on at it, trying to figure out what it is, scare somebody, if there's anybody there, because it's private land. No one's supposed to be over there. So eventually, the road as it goes parallel to our property, the way these lights would be set up, it would be sideways on the road if it was a vehicle. So we thought it was just a guy parked out there, but then it starts moving. And technically, if it was a vehicle, it would have to turn around and we'd see headlights perfectly down this trail. We've seen headlights go down this road before. No headlights, just straight bar of lights back there. It starts moving sideways down this road, as if it was a car just going sideways, but it was just a bar of lights, extremely bright at this point. And it gets to a point where the bushes become so thick that you can't see lights at all. And I've seen cars go down there before. No, you can't see headlights when it gets to this certain point. This bar of lights keeps moving through the woods. As it approaches like this barrier of trees that you can't ever see anything through, it starts rising. And we're on the cabin, which is on stilts, 15 feet in the air at the most. So by the time it starts rising, it's almost eye level with us. So no longer it's on the road. Also, it seems like it's getting closer, like 15 feet in the air and closing in a little bit. So it's got to be inside the woods. Still moving sideways, bar of lights. At this point, as it's moving, it's getting brighter and brighter. And like I said, you can't see any headlights through these trees or anything. Still, same 4 lights, getting brighter through these brushes of trees. We watch it go completely to the other side of the property, through all these trees, getting closer. It gets to the point where down this trail my truck is parked. It gets over there where it seems like it'd be over the top of my truck. So we're completely confused right now. We couldn't figure out what this is. No way it could be a vehicle at all. All 3 of us get the idea, grab the guns, grab headlights, run down the trail, see if we can't catch this thing. So we all do that, throw on our boots, go down the trail. And by this point it vanished, can't see anything through the trees anymore. We run down to my truck, which is parked on the road down there. We can't see it. I got my rifle, I'm looking back and forth. We got headlights and everything, can't see anything. Didn't see a car, didn't see nothing. So we checked the road, thinking this has to be a car or something, but we've never seen anything like this before. Fly through the woods at that bright lights and all that. It's crazy. So we checked the road. It had just rained like Thursday, so everything is still damp. You can see the tire tracks coming in from my truck pulling in, and then continuously down the road you would see a car, like car tracks or a truck or anything, completely flat dirt. Nothing. No car went by whatsoever. There wasn't a truck or anything. You can see a depression in the road. So that just built on to this weird inclining feeling that it was something else. It had to be. Especially because it started raising up and then disappeared into the woods. We'd never seen lights that bright go through trees like that. But and that was the end of it, probably. I can't remember anything after that weekend.
What color were the lights again on it?
It was a bar of lights, kind of like a line, a cigar shape. But I didn't see any shape, just lights. It was white, red, red, white. We seen lots of crazy stuff out there, lots of different occasions. We've seen different types of entities, I guess. Adding on to that story, we had went up there just a few weekends ago. That would be February 1st, or the weekend around that one. We went up there, some different people we brought. My friend Corey, the one that went last time, he didn't see anything because they're on the other side of the cabin. But immediately when we got there, he pulled up to the trail to go up to the cabin. We got the guns out. He's got a shotgun with a laser light combo on it. And I'm getting my rifle out. And I can't get my laser designator to work, the laser flashlight. And I can't find my headlights. So I'm trying to scurry to get everything ready. He's done. He's over there by the back side of the truck. He's looking each way down the trail. Still nighttime, pitch black. You can't see anything out there. To the right of the trail, where we had seen previously where we thought those lights came from, down the road, private land, no one ever goes. We didn't see any tire tracks that weekend either. It's very rare for people to go out there. But immediately when we got there, pulled up, unloaded everything, he grabbed his shotgun, turns the flashlight on. He's got no scope on his shotgun, of course. He looks down the road down to where the lights were. It's about 75 yards before it makes a turn, and it had just rained, so everything is flooded. The only place that's not flooded is the road, pretty much. So as he's looking down there, he sees something white, a white blob moving, and extremely two bright looking eyes. You can see their eyes because they're reflective and they're moving, but he yells to me, he's like, "Jeff, there's something down there. There's something at the end of the road." It's watching us. It's staring straight down the road at us, not moving. He's flashing the laser and light at him, not doing anything. So as I'm getting my laser out and my flashlight, I'm trying to change the batteries and everything, trying to catch this thing. So I finally do that. I finally found a battery that was charged. I shine it down there through my scoped rifle that I had previously in that weekend. Shine it down the road at it, and I get a perfect image of this thing. It was probably 2.5 feet tall. Just shapeless. It was completely shapeless. It had bright white eyes like diamonds reflecting in the light at nighttime, and it had almost like a blob look. That's the only way I can explain it. It was shapeless and a blob look. And it 2.5 feet tall at the most. I can't really call it an animal because I've been in the woods my whole life. I've never seen something of this shape, I guess you can call it. And usually animals out in the woods have like predatory eyes, either like yellow, red, yellow. had none of the sort. It was just when the light hit it, it was just reflective, like beady diamond looking eyes. It was extremely bright, precise, and the shape of this thing that it was attached to, it was almost like a blob. That's the only way I can explain it. It was like just a blob with eyes down the road, and I zoomed in on it with the scope, and it was staring at us, just precise. My friend Corey, he's just extremely into that stuff, and he noticed it up front, and he's never had any experiences up there. He's always doing something else, like hunting on the other side of the property, of course, when something happens. So he was pretty excited that he's seen something like that. But as for staring at it, he's got the light on it with his shotgun, and I got the scope with my laser shining at it to illuminate it. And he can see it. You can pretty much see it with your eyes at this point, but I'm still looking at it through my scope. And as soon as it's about to leave, it starts almost thrashing, like just wobbling back and forth, and you can see its eyes glimmering, like almost like a line at this point, because it's moving so fast, like thrashing at us. Like after it stopped that, it kind of just got up. I don't know how to explain how it got up, because I couldn't really see the outline of like legs or anything, but it kind of just scrunched up a little bit and then just turned to the side, which was even bigger looking blob, and then just disappeared behind the road, because it was at the very corner of that curve. So me and Corey, of course, our first reaction is to, let's go chase this thing. So everyone is still unpacking. We started bolting down the road after it. And remember, all of it is flooded, everything. So if this thing was to disappear, it was either going to swim into the abyss, because it's flooded the whole property, or continue down this curve. After the curve, it goes another 200 yards down the road. So we'd be able to see it again, right? Turn the corner, gone. Never seen it again. We walked down there even farther. We even found the tree, because it was standing in front of a tree that was really obscure, so you can recognize it. So we looked all in the water, like we were shining our lights in the water, didn't see any ripples, nothing. We ran after it, there'd still be ripples. Looked down the road, nothing. It just vanished. And that was pretty much it after that. We never saw anything like it again. I drew this right afterwards, so it was like February 2008. This was a depiction of what I saw out there in the wood. It's not a very good picture. He's got the whole thing over there. I'll tell you the story of what actually happened after after he dropped us off. We wanted to go hunting at at this four-poster stand that everyone was at while we had this experience a few weekends ago. So it's just me and my friend Nick. It was 2008. He dropped us off early. It was like 4 p.m. or something when he dropped us off. And we stayed there for another 5 hours, because you always gotta wait for like the twilight hour, that midst between light and dark before you can not see anything anymore. So it gets about 8:39 and it's pretty dark by then. It's pitch black out there. So, and we're bow hunting. We got a bow, and I got bad eyes already, so I was like, all right, let's radio my dad and come pick us up, because we're pretty useless out here and defenseless and don't have a gun or nothing. We're in this deer stand, which is kind of like a tree house, with me and my friend Nick. We got bows for hunting, and it just came around twilight. And I radio my dad to come pick us up, because we can't see anything anymore. We're defenseless out there. We got bows at nighttime. It doesn't make a good, good mix and match. We barely have any good lights. So radio him to come pick us up. So I start picking up the area. I grab my bow, which is in front of me. The way the stand is set up, it's kind of like a box, like 6x6, up in a tree. And there's completely trees surrounding us, and we're overlooking a feeder. Well, I'm sitting next to the window, and my friend Nick is sitting in the chair behind me, and the whole thing is screened in. So my bow is on a hook on the railing. So I grab it, and in the same motion I grabbed it, flicked on my headlight, and then I turn around to say something to Nick, which doesn't have his stuff up yet or headlight on. So I turn around to say something to him, like, let's go, whatever. I turn around completely 180 to look at him. Behind him is a screen wall. There's not even wood or anything on it. It's just all screen. So I have my headlight facing that direction. And as I go to say something to him, my headlight catches a glimpse of something on the tree behind him. There's trees surrounding, so the nearest tree is probably about 5 feet behind the stand. It was some type of being, jet black. The first thing that I saw was its eyes. It had huge, it was either big almond eyes that were glistening, but it was almost like it was sunken in. But that's what my light caught at first, was these huge eyes. And it was humanoid. 100% it was humanoid. If it was to stand up straight, I would guesstimate it'd probably be between 3 and 4 feet tall. But it was hunched over on this tree. All of its limbs were just grabbing onto this thing. It's like a koala or something, like a koala stance. But its huge eyes and head were just humanoid, and it didn't ring a bell to any animal out there. Side note, we're hunting, so we didn't move. We were looking straight, didn't move for like 6 hours. So this thing was sitting on this tree, probably around nighttime came around. It got on there motionless. It wasn't there when we got on there. We'd be able to see it during the daytime, so it somehow crept up, got on this tree, and was just almost predatorily stalking us from behind. That was the inclination I got. When I saw this thing, I don't think I've ever screamed like a girl before, but it was close. My friend Nick, which was behind me, noticed that I saw something, and he jerked around, flipped his headlight on as fast as he could. He saw it for about a few seconds, and then it jumped straight up, like it had the muscles of, a jaguar. It just jumped straight up into the canopy. Didn't make a sound besides the jump off the tree. Jumped straight up, didn't hear it. Didn't hit the canopy, didn't hear it hit the ground, didn't hear wings or anything. I didn't see wings, but it was gone. Me and him looked at each other like, we need to get the hell out of here. I radioed my dad, and that's when I radioed him, and I was almost like choked up. I was like, you need to get the hell here. I mean, there's something out here stalking us. I mean, we just saw this. It was even better because my friend Nick saw it. Luckily, he turned around and saw this thing for a few seconds. I saw it for about 6 seconds before he did, so by the time he came and got us, we're freaked out. We beat it back to the cabin, told my dad about it, and me and him are pretty good artists, so he mentions, draw this thing. I mean, right now, put the date down, put all the details you can, go to the opposite sides of the cabin and draw it, do it all yourself, and then we'll compare them. So what you've seen on the phone, I mean, we'll probably find it later, but the actual drawing, we can't find Nick's, of course, that's always how the story goes, but when we put them together, they're almost exactly perfect. They're bent in, like, the legs weren't facing the right way. They're kind of back end, like dog legs. And they had just, you can almost see claws, like a clawish hand, and just fur that was like dog fur, jet black, like wet dog, like it was slicked down wet fur, and just jet black.
That was the image you showed us earlier.
That was the image I showed you earlier.
And did both of you draw the same thing?
Exactly the same thing.
When Veronica says she's met billions of alien ETs, she's no doubt referring to the spirits of them interdimensionals, and physical aliens. Make no mistake, there are many kinds, and they are being seen by witnesses. A simple Google search and you'll find examples. Here's one that looks a lot like what Jeff and Nick saw, except with spikes on its back. Here's an amazing picture of something I found on the internet. It's a toy. It's actually marketed in the toy department, which looks a lot like what they've seen.